Hello and welcome back to Clarkenomics. In this video, we're going to talk about market equilibrium. This is ultimately going to be part of constructing something called a market model, where we're going to see how prices are determined in a perfectly competitive market. But to get there, we're going to first review a couple things we've already learned, such as demand. So if this is the demand schedule for pizza, where price per pizza is the independent variable, and quantity of pizzas demanded is the dependent variable, we see as the price of pizza gets higher and higher and higher, the quantity demanded of pizza goes down and down and down. So for instance, at a price of $5 per pizza, we put price on the y-axis, even though it's the independent variable, and we put quantity demanded on the x. At a price of $5 per pizza, the quantity demanded is 6,000. If the price were to rise to $10 per pizza, the quantity demanded is now only 5,000. And as the price gets higher and higher and higher, we see the quantity demanded get lower and lower and lower. And if we keep going, this is going to allow us to create what's called a demand curve. It is the quantity demanded, and not just one price, but at all possible prices, right? We plotted 6 points on this line, but there are many, many points in between. So this tells us how much of something people are going to want at any given price. Demand is the entire curve here. So that's what we started off doing. After we learned about the demand curve and how those work, we then learned about the supply curve. So again, in a perfectly competitive market, we're having price as the independent variable and quantity as the dependent variable. And we put price over here on the y-axis and quantity supplied down here on the x. And we can see that at a price of $5 per pizza, the quantity supplied is 1,000. So all of the producers in this market, this is a market supply curve here, all the producers in this market at a price of $5 combined want to supply 1,000 pizzas. And if the price gets higher, that is an incentive to pizza producers to produce more pizza. Their profit maximizing quantity of pizzas is going to rise. So at a price of $10 per pizza, the quantity supplied is 2,000. $15 per pizza, quantity supplied is 3,000. And we go up and up and up. So there's a positive relationship when it comes to a supply curve. The higher the price, the higher the quantity supplied. So remembering that a supply curve has that positive relationship and a demand curve has a negative relationship between price and quantity, that's going to allow us to create our final model here. And so our final model is where we're finally going to put the demand curve and the supply curve on the same graph. It's taken us a while to get here, but we're finally here. It feels good. Now, one minor change for this graph is the x-axis. Note when we were doing demand curves, we put quantity demanded. When we were doing supply curves, we did quantity supplied. Since we have both quantity demanded and quantity supplied on the same graph, we're just going to say instead quantity, just like that. So price on the y, quantity on the x, and we're good to go. And what I've done here is I've combined both our supply schedule and our demand schedule into the same table, and we've plotted both of these, right? So you can see at a price of $5, for instance, if we follow $5 out to our supply curve, right, these are the same numbers as before, quantity supplied is 1,000. If we follow $5 out to our demand curve, our quantity demanded is 6,000. So those numbers are all coming right from the table. Now, the most important part of this graph is finding the equilibrium. The equilibrium is going to determine the market price and the market quantity of this thing. And because all of the firms are price takers and all of the consumers are price takers in this perfectly competitive market, it's the market that sets prices, not any kind of government, not any kind of individual producer or consumer. So the market equilibrium can be found right there, right? So X marks the spot whenever you're trying to find the market equilibrium. So for pizza, this is going to give us a market equilibrium price, which is that green line, and that's going to be in between 15 and 20. Let's just call it $17.50. And that's going to also give us a market equilibrium quantity, and we'll call that 3,500, midway between 3,000 and 4,000. So in terms of marking those things, we can use capital P subscript capital E. This is price at equilibrium, and down here we have quantity at equilibrium. So when you're marking your graphs, use these labels right here. So the equilibrium price is $17.50, and the equilibrium quantity is 3,500 pizzas. So again, all the firms in this market are going to charge $17.50 per pizza, and all the consumers in this market are going to pay $17.50 per pizza. And again, no one firm or no one consumer is deciding that. That is coming from this market equilibrium right here. It's a tug of war between buyers and sellers, and this is where things land. So that's what a market equilibrium looks like. You come away with a price and a quantity where X marks the spot. Thanks for watching.